I don't understand how the comments are so good. I love this. Magic, please keep doing this. This is a great thing. Keep doing comments that are good. I really like this. Yo, what's up YouTube? My name is KushiKush. New March of Machines Magic the Gathering card set. We're just going to be looking at it. Longer video, might be like an hour long. Anyways, let's just get into it. There's a lot of new cards, and I'm mainly going to be looking at it from like, is this card good in Standard? Is it good in Brawl? Is it good in Draft? Stuff like that. Regardless, first card, Aerial Boost, 2 mana, instant, Convoke. I don't know if Convoke is new, but Convoke essentially is you can tap your creatures and then they count as like 1 mana towards playing this card. Cool concept. I think it'll be really good in any deck that can like utilize a lot of tokens or the 1/1 thingies. I don't know what they're called, but if you can just tap those, it's essentially they become mana, which is cool because you can do your plays even quicker. Regardless, what Aerial Boost does is your monster gets 2 attack and 2 defense and gains flying. It's okay. I mean, I've seen a lot of cards not particularly give the flying, but give the 2/2 boost, and I think those cards are a lot better. This might be good in Draft. I think it's a sneaky pickup in Draft, but besides that, it's not really worth talking about. Alabaster Host Insector, or whatever his name is. When he enters a battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until this card leaves the field. Plane Cycling, 2 mana. For 2 mana, discard this card, search your library for a plane, add it to your hand. So he kind of gives you that consistency, which doesn't really need, but it's cool that it's there. So he's 6 mana for a 3/4 that can banish a card. There's cards already like this that are way better. It's okay because it's a common in Draft. It'll be okay, like a nice boss monster removal. But besides that, this card kind of stinks. I don't think it's going to see a lot of play. Next card, Alabaster Host Sanctifier. 2 mana, lifelink, 2/2 for... it's a bad card. It'll be okay in Draft, but outside of Draft, useless. Angelic Intervention. 2 mana, okay. Instant. Target creature, planeswalker you control gets protection from colorless or from the color of your choice. Okay, so it's a protection. This seems like a really good card because planes have already cards that like protect and give you indestructible and stuff like that. This is like another one of those, which I like to see because in Brawl you can only run 1 copy. Now you have another copy of a card that can protect your like boss monster in a plane deck. So it's a cool addition. Archangel Ellipse, 4 mana. Oh wow, there's a mythic. So for +1, create a 1/1 creature token with lifelink. That's good, with lifelink too. For -2, put 2 1/1 counters on a target creature. It becomes an angel in addition to other types and gains flying. So essentially it gets +2 attack, +2 defense, and it has flying. For -2, and you can play this at 4. That's really good. That effect's really good. So return all non-land permanent cards with a mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So cards like that last effect, the one right here, in Yu-Gi-Oh are called Soul Charge. It's banned, should be banned. This one does have the clause though that you can only be mana value 3 or less, so you can't spam out big monsters. Regardless, at 6 mana, if you play this at 4 mana, at 6 mana, you're going to have an ability to reborn every single card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard, put it back on the field. Oh, except non-lands, excuse me. That's pretty good, especially in the mill deck. Imagine that. All those cards you milled, free. Like, a little nutty. I'm going to be interested to see what people do with this. Attentive Skywarden, 3 mana. Flying, whenever this deals damage, transform up to 1 target incubator token you control. It depends how good the incubator tokens are, but essentially it's just a 3/2/2 with flying, which is not good, but its effect may be pretty good with the incubator tokens. Bola Slinger, 4 mana. Backup 1. What is backup? When this creature enters the battlefield, put a counter on a target creature. If you put the counter on another monster, it gains another following ability until the end of the turn. Whenever this creature attacks, tap target artifact or creature and opponent controls. So if this guy, Bola Slinger, who's 4 mana for a 2/2 drop, terrible. But if this guy puts his token on another monster and that monster attacks, then you can like kind of like tap an opponent's monster, get through. It's not the worst. It's like a battle trick almost, but it's also not the best. Yeah, especially for a 2/2 for 4 mana. It doesn't even have it doesn't have lifelink, it doesn't have vigilance, it doesn't have first strike. It's just vanilla. It's pretty useless. Boonbringer Valkyrie, 5 mana. Backup 1, so it puts a counter. Oh, but this time the monster that gets a counter gets flying, first strike, lifelink. The stats aren't bad. 5 mana for a 4/4. It's only until the end of the turn that it gets these boosts. It might be cool for like going for game. Besides that, pretty bad. Cut short, 3 mana. Instant, convoke. Oh, so you can tap out monsters to play this quicker. Destroy target planeswalker that was activated this turn or tapped creature. I don't like cards like this. I never like the amount of play that they can have is very, very limited. It's because your opponent has to do something. So it's like more of a reaction type of thing. Unless you're somehow tapping your opponent's monsters, which I don't know if cards that can do that, maybe you might know, then you can abuse this card. But besides that, it just seems too situational, especially for 3 mana. Yeah, you could play it for cheaper if you tap your monsters for mana. But no, it's just trash. That's why it's a common, I'm assuming. Dust Legion Duelist, 2 mana. Vigilance. Whenever one or more counters are put on this card, draw a card. If you could figure out a way to put a counter on this card during your opponent's turn, so you get a card during your opponent's turn, I think it might be busted. This card might be seeing a lot of play for like now until it's removed. It's a drawing card or not bad by any means. So this is a very interesting card. I want to see how people are gonna make it good because it's not a bad card, but it's also not good on its own. It needs help. Elf Smite, 1 plane. Elf Smite deals 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Also, if it dies, exile it. Good card, very good. Simply because, yeah, it's reactionary. Yeah, it's situational only when you're attacking, but you're able to trigger it like often. And also, it banishes, which is pretty good. I've been seeing a lot of pro players use cards to exile. Simply because I think the graveyard is really important in Magic, or at least it's becoming more important as I've been noticing. So this card exiling is pretty important too, and I think it's going to be good. It's an uncommon. It's a good card. Enduring Bond Warden. So you put a counter, and if you put a counter on another creature, when this creature dies, put its counters on the target creature you control. Best case scenario, you already have a monster. You summon this guy as your like second monster. You put the counter on the other monster. When the other monster dies, the counter on that monster goes on this one. I know I just said a lot of things, but essentially this card sucks. It's not worth it. Maybe in draft, but outside of it, garbage. Golden Scale Aeronaut, 5 mana. Backup 1, so put a counter, and then whoever gets a counter gets flying until the end of the turn. 1 turn, by the way. Not worth, bad. Guardian of Gidapur, 3 mana, flying 3/3. Whoa, that's good right there. A 3 mana drop for a 3/3 flying, that's good. What's he do? Enters the battlefield, exile to 1 target creature or artifact you control. So essentially, if you have a monster that's when this monster enters the battlefield or backup or whatever, it does something. This card just kind of like says, oh, well, you got to use that effect again, but at the beginning of your next end step. Not bad, actually, especially the stats. A 3/3 flying for 3 mana. Decent. I like it. Infected Defector, 5 mana. When infected, the infector dies, incubate 3. Create an incubator token with 3 1/1 counters on it. And for 2 mana, transform this artifact. So what I'm guessing this guy is for 5 mana, he's a 4/3, which isn't good, but when he dies, he kind of floats. So he summons something when he dies. It's an egg. I don't know if this egg with 3 tokens, or 3 counters, excuse me, can attack. But I know you can transform it into a monster that maybe can attack. So I don't really understand it too much, but I think it's when he dies, you can pay 2 mana, and then you get a 3/3 token. Which, I mean, essentially it'll be like, what, 7/6 for 7 mana drop. Not bad, especially since it kind of floats, which I do like. Inspired Charge, 4 mana. Creatures you control get +2 attack, 1 defense until the end of the turn. I don't see a lot of cards like Inspired Charge, to be quite honest. Cards that can benefit your whole team. And in Magic, I don't think there's a field limit. I could be wrong, but I've seen people have like 15 tokens. So imagine 15 tokens get +2. Well, that's a little scary. This is a scary card, and it's a common. It's a good card. Yeah, it costs 4 mana. Who cares? You have like 10 tokens. Now they're big threats. Now they're +2 attack and +1 defense. Interesting. I want to see this card. It's like an OTK card where you win in 1 turn. I like seeing cards like that. Ithkin Billy Rider, 3 mana for a 1/3 double strike. Okay, so if we just consider the fact that she is double strike 1/3 for 3 mana drop, that's not bad. Double strike is so powerful, you get attacked twice and you get the benefits of first strike. But on top of that, this is it's a common. What the heck? And this is in a set where you have backup. Backup is where you can put counters on things and give them additional effects. Flying. This lady can get really strong really quick. That's incredibly scary. Not only for draft, but even outside of draft. And it's a common. This could easily been an uncommon. Maybe even a rare if it gave it another effect. Cool card. Very cool card. Knight of the New Coalition. 4 mana. Vigilance. When this card enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white creature token with Vigilance. So it's 4 mana for essentially 4/4 with Vigilance. Am I missing something? This card's amazing. And the token has Vigilance too. That's cool. That's a good card. What else? Knight Errant of Eos. 5 mana. Convoke is where you can tap a monster and you can play this. Your monster is equivalent to 1 mana. When this card enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. Reveal up to 2 creatures with mana value X or less among them, where X is the number of creatures that were like tapped for this card to enter the field. Put the revealed cards in your hand and shuffle. So I don't know. This is a weird one. Yeah, you could tap like 4 monsters, and then you can look at the top 6 cards of your deck, and anything with the mana value 4 or less you can add to your hand, which is 2. It's a really good boss monster in a token deck, just because you can tap your monster, summon this guy for maybe even 1 mana. I don't know if you can do it for 0, but you can summon it for really, really low, and then you get like a powerful search from your deck. Next card, Core Halberd. 1 plane. Equip monster gets 1/1 and has Vigilance. Whoa. And then you can just equip it to something else. I like it. So essentially for 2 mana, one of your monsters on your field gets 1/1 and Vigilance. Vigilance isn't bad. I like that a lot. So it's interesting. I'm glad this is in the game. I'm glad it's an option. Cool card. Monastery Mentor. 3 mana. Prowess. Whenever you cast a creature, oh yeah, and it gets bigger. Whenever you cast a non-creature, create a 1/1 monk token with Prowess. What is this? Okay, this is an epic, right? A mythical? Okay, this is a high rarity. Good. Because this effect, you swarm the field. That's good. Really good. Good thing he's a 2/2. Dude, if he was a 3/3, I would hate that card. He's not a bad threat to get rid of. He's just like, oh, you get so much advantage from him. And the tokens get prowess too, so they get big as well. There's going to be decks built around this one card. I can guarantee it. Simply because prowess, you can abuse that. You can get this guy really big, and then you get a bunch of tokens over and over. Ooh, that's a little scary. I don't know. Cool card. When Norn's Inquisitor enters the battlefield, incubate 2. Whenever a permanent you control transforms into a Phyrexian, put a 1/1 counter on it. It's a Phyrexian support card. I don't know what card turns cards into Phyrexians, but I feel like this is like a very important card in the Phyrexian archetype. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe there's new stuff. Phyrexian Awakening. Let's see. 3 mana enhancement. When this card enters the battlefield, incubate 4. Okay. Phyrexians you control have Vigilance. Okay, not bad. Interesting. Vigilance isn't bad. Vigilance is pretty decent. It's a decent skill. Phyrexian Censor. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-Phyrexian spell per. Non-Phyrexian creatures enter the. It's a floodgate. It's a Magic has these. I didn't think. Okay, I'm gonna be quite honest, because I haven't seen one. I haven't seen a floodgate. Each player can't cast more than 1. You're okay. Well, that's it. And it's an uncommon. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell. Dude, your opponent's kind of locked unless you're playing Phyrexian. But who's playing Phyrexian? It's very good against every other deck. But if you're playing a mirror match or you're playing in draft, I think it's gonna be bad, right? Because Phyrexian can still do their things. This is a cool floodgate. Very cool floodgate. It's an uncommon. I can't believe they did that. It should have been a rare. I think a lot of people are going to be playing with this, no? It's a little nutty. Let's see what else there is. Prognator Exart. So it's 2 X's and a plane. When this enters the battlefield, you can incubate 3 X times. I don't understand what that means. Does that mean like 3 times? Like the mana you pay? Or is it just in addition? I'm not too entirely sure. Regardless, you can tap this. Transform target incubator token you control. That's cool. So the incubator tokens, now you don't have to pay 2 mana. You can just tap this. Regardless, not a bad card because you can just summon it for 1 mana and you immediately get incubator 3. And then you could just tap this and then make your token live. Cool card. Very cool card. Realmsbreaker Grasp. 2 mana. Enhance artifact or creature. Enhanced permanent can attack or block, and its activated abilities can. Oh, so it's just like kind of like stop your opponent from playing. Cool card. It's a common, which I do appreciate. It's not an uncommon or rare at least. Scroll Shift, 3 mana, instant. Exile up to one target artifact, creature, or enhancement you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this allows you to reuse the effects when enters the battlefield, such as Prognator, and you also just draw a card off of it. I think the draw one is nice. The draw one to me is equivalent to 1 mana. So this card's essentially 2 mana to rebounce your effects. Because, I mean, you pretty much get a free card. Seal of Existence, 3 mana. When this card enters the battlefield, you may exile a target non-land permanent opponent controls until what? And its enhancement? Oh, and it has ward? Well, ward's not the best. Sometimes your opponent has ways to remove things without targeting, but it's still very nice to have because you have that additional protection. This is an uncommon. This is a good card. It's removal. It's literally removal, but it's buffed because it has ward. Signaled Sentinel. 3 mana. Backup 1. Okay, you can put a counter. Whatever you put a counter on gets vigilance. It is what it is. It's not good, but at the same time, in draft it'll probably be decent. Sunder the Gateway. 2 mana. Sorcery. Destroy target non-artifact or enhancement opponent controls. Incubate 2. Damn. Wait, what is this? 2 mana? Oh, it's a sorcery though. It's not instant. Okay, that's fine. Incubate 2, then transform an incubator token you control. So for 2 mana, you can summon a 2/2, or for 2 mana, you can get rid of an opponent's thing and you can get an egg, which can potentially, for 2 more mana, become a monster. A lot of options with this card. I think this is going to be picked up heavily in draft. Very good card. Sunfall, 5 mana, sorcery. Exile all creatures. Incubate X, where X is the number of creatures exiled this way. Wow. So you're telling me if this gets rid of like, I don't know, like 7 monsters. In addition to getting rid of 7 monsters and exiling them, by the way, exiling, not sending them to the graveyard, no, they're gone. You get an egg that can be huge, and for 2 mana, it becomes a monster. This is real. This is meta. This is a meta-defining card, no? I feel like this card's meta-defining. Sunfall. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Very good card. I want copies of that. Surge of Salvation. 1 plane. Instant. You and permanents you control gain hexproof. Ooh. Prevent all damage that black or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn. Side deck card against black and red. You're literally all monsters, by the way. All monsters you control get hexproof. Not one. Insane. Insane side deck card. Next card, Swordshorn Cavalier. 2 mana, creature. Swordshorn has first strike as long as another knight entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So for 1 turn it gets first strike. 2 drop for a 3/1 with the potential first strike. Nah, bad. I mean, in draft it'll be good, but outside of draft, bad. Tiller of Flesh, 4 mana. Whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more permanents, incubate 2. Oh, it's just a continuous effect. Ah, not bad. Not for, yeah, it's 4 mana for a 2/4, but it's a continuous effect that continuously gets you eggs. They're not strong eggs, they're 2/2, but I mean, it's interesting. Zalafran Lancer. 3 mana. Whenever another knight enters the battlefield under your control, this card gets 1/1 and vigilance until the end of the turn. For 3 mana, it can become a 4/4 on the next turn with vigilance, but that's only like once. I mean, it continues to get bigger and bigger, right? The more knights you summon. This isn't a bad one, especially, yeah, it's an uncommon. I can see that. The stats are good. The effect is good. In a knight deck, it's probably very, very decent. That's it for planes. All right, we're moving on to blue. Artistic Refusal for 6 mana, instant, convoke, you can tap your monsters, choose one or both, counter target spell, draw 2 cards, discard. So what, 6 mana, you counter a spell, and you draw 2 cards, discard 1. No, yeah, you can do it for really, really cheap if you tap your monsters, maybe in a token deck, but it requires 2 blue, it's not 1 blue, so you can't kind of like cheese it out. I don't like it, not good enough. Assimilation Essence, 2 mana. Counter target spell or battle spell unless its controller pays 4. If they do, you incubate 2. Okay. So, if they don't, they lose their spell. If they do, you get egg. 2 mana, by the way, counters target spell, or counter target creature or battle spell. This is amazing, no? This is like a battlecraft version of the negate, because not only does it already negate, but you also get an egg if they choose to like go like, oh yeah, you know, it'll go through. Like, okay, well I get an egg. Not bad. I like it a lot. And it's a common. That's not balanced. Astral Wingspan, 5 mana. Convoke. Enhanced creature, when Astral Wingspan enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enhanced creature gets 2/2 and has flying. I like that it gives you a card. I really like that. I really, really like that. A lot of these cards just give you cards. They should be doing that. It makes the game a lot more fun. You have more variety, more card effects to mess with. But besides that, this card, it costs 5 mana to activate. Yeah, you can convoke, you can tap, but that shouldn't be the main reason that it's expensive. This should just be a bonus. It should be a bonus, makes the card better. It shouldn't make a bad card good, because a bad card's a bad card. Like, come on. Change the equation. 2. Instant. Choose 1. Counter target spell with mana value 2 or less. I don't like that effect at all. Counter target red or green. Mana value 6 or less. Okay, side deck card. Interesting. Chrome Host Seed Shark. 3 mana. Flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, incubate X, where X is the number of spell's value. So, every single time you play a card while you have this shark on the field, and it's good stats, 3 mana for a 2/4 with flying, you just get a token equal to the mana value. This is the best one I've seen so far for these eggs. This one is amazing. Amazing. This is a very good one. Complete the circuit, 6 mana. Convoke, so you can cast it even quicker. You may cast sorcery spells this turn as though they had flash. Oh, this turn, no. I don't like complete the circuit for one real reason. It's not continuous. It's not an enhancement. It's not an artifact. It's an instant, and it only works for that one turn, and it costs 6 mana. Bro, for 6 mana, yeah, you can convoke, you can tap your monsters and cast this quicker. But dude, it's only a one turn thing. One turn thing, that's it. And it costs so much. I don't see it being good. Maybe somebody can figure it out like in a token deck. This is probably insane in a token deck. I'm not gonna lie. But outside of that, it looks so terrible. Corruption of Tawashi, 5 mana. When Corruption of Tawashi enters the battlefield, incubate 4. Okay. Whenever a permanent you control transforms or a permanent enters the battlefield under your control transform, you may draw a card. Do this only once each turn. So you can't, like, if you control multiple, you can't do multiple, or if I control 4 Corruption of Tawashi, will I get 4 draws? If that deck, the one with the eggs, incubator, excuse me, is good, I think it's going to be because of this card. Just because every time they transform, you get a card, so it kind of gets you more advantage. This seems extremely powerful. Sucks that it doesn't have, what is it called? Convoke, because that would just make it even better. And sucks that it's 5 mana, but besides that, I think it's a decent effect. And it's something that you definitely want on your field. Disturbing Conversation, 2 mana. Flash, enhanced creature. When it enters the battlefield, each player mills 2 cards, each. Interesting. Enhanced creature gets negative attack, or the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. So, at worst, it's a -2 attack. At best, it's like, I mean, it can be a negative a lot, like a -11. The graveyard can fill up really quick. Interesting, and it's a common. Ooh, they're making the commons really good this time. Ephra's Despero, 3 mana. It's an instant. The spell costs 2 less to cast it if it targets an attacking creature. Turn target creature to the hand. So essentially, you can cast this for 1 mana, and you surveil 2. It's a common. This is amazing. This is amazing. This card is so good. The Surveil 2 isn't bad at all, especially in the water deck, where in water decks, you want spells in your graveyard, and you want like stuff in your graveyard in order for your monsters to like be able to be summoned quicker, or like have higher attack. This is an insanely good card. This is a really good card. I need 4 copies of this. Expedition Lookout, 2 mana. Defender. As long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, this card can attack if Zoe didn't have Defender, and it can't be blocked. Garbage. Bro, they need 8 cards? I mean, late game. You draw this late game, yeah, it's cool. But at the same time, late game, do you really want a 2/3 that can't be blocked Like that's it. I'm pretty sure you would want something like a lot bigger than maybe like a 5/5, you know, for like a 7 mana drop or something. Not this. Eyes of Gitaxias. 3 mana. Incubate 3. So okay, you get one of those. Draw 1. You do get a draw, so no, the draw's not worth it. I mean, if it was 2 mana, yeah. If it was 2 mana, easy. But it's 3. And it's not even an instant, it's a sorcery. I don't like it. Not good enough. Yeah, draw's cool, but hey, look at this. This artwork's kind of cool. Fairy Mastermind. Flash flying. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. For 4 mana, each player draws a card. Yuta Kayashi, World Champion. Is this actually like... Did he get his own custom card? Oh, 2 mana for a 2/1. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it has a lot of potential, especially this effect. For 4 mana, you can draw a card. Do it during your opponent's end phase. They don't get advantage of the free card, but you do. Furtive Analyst, 3 mana. Vigilance. For 2 mana, you tap this card, draw a card, and discard a card. It's a 1/4 with Vigilance. I don't like that you have to pay 2 mana in addition to tapping this. So I'm going to pass on that. It's a common, no. Not a bad card for a common. The commons have been killing it this set. The commons are so good. Hollow Charge Scab. When this card enters the battlefield, each player mills 2 cards. Then you may put an instant, sorcery, or battle card from your graveyard on the top of your library. That's terrible. It's too slow. I mean, you lose your draw for whatever you grab from the graveyard. Unless the card you grab from the graveyard is so good that you just need it that bad or you're willing to give up a draw. But besides that, not good. Meeting of Minds, 4 mana. Instant. Convoke, so you can cast it for even less, draw 2 cards. In a token deck, this is, and it's common. Dude, the commons are killing it. I'm not kidding. The commons are so good. This is a staple in a token deck, just because draw 2 cards essentially for free for 1 mana or whatever. Because if you tap your tokens or your creatures, I mean, like you just use them as mana. Moment of Truth, 2 mana. Instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand, one into the graveyard, one in the bottom of your library. I mean, it does get 1 card into your graveyard and 1 card into your hand, which is good, but I would have preferred 2 cards in your graveyard, 1 in your hand. But I think that would have been too good. Good card to consider. Common, by the way. Wow. Negate. New artwork. Counter target non-creature spell. It's that one dude. I forgot his name. Oculus Whelp. 4 mana. What was a cool looking dragon? Flying. As long as you control a transformed permanent, Oculus Whelp has when Oculus Whelp dies, draw a card. So it's a 4 for 3/2 flying that when it dies you draw. Not bad. I would actually like to run 3 of this, honestly. But it only works in what is that deck called? Where like you summon like a token or an egg or something? But it really only works in Incubate. Omen Hawker. 1 mana creature. Tap this. Add 2 mana. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. Is this a staple? This card's nutty. 2 mana for a tap? 2 mana? 2 mana. This seems like a staple in decks where you have a lot of monsters where, oh, 2 mana, tap this card, do something. Or 3 mana, tap this card, do something. This seems like a staple in that deck. Like, extremely good staple. And it's only an uncommon. That's crazy. Oracle of Tragedy, 2 mana. When Oracle of Tragedy enters the battlefield or dies, choose 1. Draw a card and discard. Cool. Shuffle up to 4 target cards with mana value 3 or greater from your graveyard into your library. So, I mean, it's a 2-drop for a 1/3 that you draw a card, discard a card. That's not bad, and it's an uncommon. I think in draft it'll be decent. Preening Champion, 3 mana, flying. When this enters the battlefield, create a 1 blue and red elemental creature token. I like it, and it's a common. I like it just because it does have flying and it generates a token, and I think I really like things that generate tokens. Protocol Knight, 4 mana, creature, human knight. When Protocol Knight enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. Put a stun counter on that creature if you control another knight. I like it. I like it a lot, especially in a knight deck. This is literally, it's a spell, so it stops your opponent from like blocking with that monster. But at the same time, it's a decent monster. A 4 mana for 3/4. That's incredible. And it's a common. I don't understand how the commons are so good. I love this. Magic, please keep doing this. This is a great thing. Keep doing commons that are good. I really like this. Sabi a Cryptomancer. 2 mana. Flash. Backup. Hexproof. Let me get this straight. Your opponent tries to do something to your monster, and you say, nah, I'm going to summon this. I'm going to give hexproof to that monster because this is flash. You can just chain it. And then that monster gets hexproof and a 1/1. And you get a free monster like this. And you could probably use this monster to even like tap it to summon other monsters using Convoke, right? That is what is this, a common? That is too good. See double, 4 mana. Instant, this spell cannot be copied. Choose one card. If your opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, you may choose both. Copy target spell, you may choose new targets. Creature, create a token of a copy of a target creature. They need 8. They need 8 cards in their graveyard. It makes sense that there's a lot of cards that are like, oh, your opponent mills 2 cards as well. So you can get this card being live. I'm assuming this is gonna be the most important card in that deck. But that deck sucks. The effects are garbage. I'm not jesting either. No, the effects are Halo Charge. Your opponent mills 2, you mill 2, and then you can choose a spell in your graveyard, put it on the top of your deck. Like, that's it? That's it? You're giving up your draw though. Like, you know, you're not even adding it to your hand. It's just not good enough. So far, this card, amazing effect. If you're able to get your opponent to have a bunch of cards in your graveyard, it'll be live. But what cards are doing that? The cards that are doing that need to be good. So far, they've been bad. So this card's bad. Status Field, 2 mana. Enhancement, enhanced creature. Enhanced creature has base power and toughness. So it just gains 2 defense, has defender, and loses all other abilities. It's just quick removal, common. It'll be used a lot. Temporal Cleansing, 4 mana. Convoke, so you can play it for cheaper. The owner of a target non-land permanent puts it into their library, second from the top or on the bottom. Don't know if I like this. It's removal for 1 card. It's a spell, it's a sorcery. 4 mana, yes, you can play it for cheaper, but no, just for 1 spell? Come on. Thunderhead Squadron, 6 mana. Convoke. Flying. No, terrible. Moving on. Tidal Terror, 6 mana. Whenever Tidal Terror attacks, you may tap 2 other untapped creatures you control. If you do, Tidal Terror cannot be blocked this turn. So for 6 mana to 5/6, it's common. And it searches you a library. I like it. I like it a lot. Its stats are decent. The mana cost is decent. Effect is decent. It also has a decent hand effect. And it's a common. Good card. Transcendent Message. X for blue. Whoa. Convoke. Oh wow. Wait, you're telling me you can tap 4 monsters and then you just pay X and then your mana becomes equivalent to 1 card. Wicked Slumber, 4 mana. Tap up to 2 target creatures. Oh, it's an instant? Okay. Put a stun counter on them and then put a stun counter on either of them. Weird card. But I mean, it's protection. It's not the worst. It's an interesting card. Exarch Strobe Knight. Picture looks cool. 3 mana. Flying Vigilance. Flying on a knight? Okay. Tap this card. Create a 2/2 white and blue knight token with Vigilance. Activate only if you casted 2 or more spells this turn. This card is amazing. The downside is that it's so good that when you tap it to create a token, you lose out on how good this monster is. So I really, really like how this card is balanced. I love that it's 3 mana. I love that it's a 2/2. It's an amazing card. And it's a knight. It's an uncommon as well. Amazing card. Seraph Singer, 4 mana. Convoke, Flying Vigilance. When this card enters the battlefield, put a flying counter on each creature that convoked it. Real? Oh, it's a rare. Okay, good. That you could flying to all of your. You can get flying to what? 2 monsters or 4? I think you can give it to 2 monsters. Cool card. Zalafren Shapecraft, 2 mana. Target creature has base power and toughness 4/3. Draw a card. I mean, you get a draw as well, and it kind of makes your monster tough. It's not an addition to your monster. No, it's like making your monster this strong. So it only gets over to stuff very, very early game. or like very rarely. But besides that, I mean, drawing a card for 2 mana, not bad. I like it. Yeah, I didn't realize how long this was going to be, so I'm going to be splitting it up into different days. This is just going to be the plane and the water. So next episode, I'm going to be covering what, black, and what else is after black. I don't want to see too many spoilers. Red. Okay, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for the delay in Magic content. I do like Magic. I still do like Magic. I've just been taking my time with it. But thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a great day or night. And I hope you have fun in the next set. I'll catch you next time. See ya.